in our financial system is rising and rising and rising. And the biggest institutions in the world know it. That's why you're seeing Jamie Dimon attacking Bitcoin, attacking Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy, getting targeted, and the Trump administration quietly moving pieces behind the scenes. We need to talk about something that most people can feel, but can't quite explain. This isn't a headline war. It's not left versus right. It's not even about Bitcoin on the surface. It's a fight over who controls the money that controls your life, your job, your savings, your home, your retirement, your time. And here's the truth. You don't need to understand banking jargon or political chess moves to get what's happening. You already feel it. Prices rising faster than your paycheck, savings losing value, every month feeling tighter than the last, too much month at the end of my money, a sense that the system is just off. We can feel it everywhere. We can see it everywhere. The malaise, the unrest, the chaos, the sobbing TikTok videos, people crying because they can't afford life. What we're going to do tonight is quickly pull this war out of the shadows and explain it in a way that makes sense to the average person. We're not going to go into jargon. We're not going to go into all kinds of numbers and chaos. There's plenty of other people doing that and talking about that. The fight isn't really about Jamie Dimon or Michael Saylor or Donald Trump. It's about you. It's not about what he said, she said, and the little numbers and the charts. Almost no one understands that. No one gets that. That's not what's going to pull society forward. It's about whether you stay trapped in a system that's breaking, or you position yourself to protect your family and your future and those around you. So we're going to walk through what's happening between those power players, why strategy is under attack, what Trump's monetary gambit is, as Marilyn Hoddle wrote about in this viral piece that went viral over the last few days. And we're going to talk to you about what you can do to stay safe, stay sovereign, and stay ahead while all this plays out. So here's the quick version. I'm going to pull this up, and there's a quick version of what's happening to catch anyone who hasn't heard of what's going on. There's a million lives going on, people doing all kinds of stuff all over the place, talking about this stuff. It's a pretty crazy time. Operation Choke Point 2.0, all this stuff hasn't gone away. They said it would, but it hasn't. And this is the sinister system that is behind the scenes, the shadow banking system that has been going on for how long? It's anybody's guess, really. Probably since 1913, at least. Maybe FDR really ramps up. Woodrow Wilson, FDR, 1971, our dollar ceases being money, and it really ramps up there. JP Morgan Chase ends banking ties with Strike CEO Jack Mallers, rekindling crypto debanking concerns. So this is stuff that, again, this is why people have such a hard time with politics, and they have such a hard time. The younger generation really can't stand the lack of transparency, because the younger generation has grown up with, like it or not, technology in their hands. They want things done now. They want it transparent, and they want it solved. And this is causing the old opaque system, as we've talked about before with Jonathan Gruber, the architect of the Affordable Care Act. He said right there, opacity, the lack of transparency, the opaqueness of the system is a great political tool. We've seen the guy who does stuff on an island with children that took his own life. We've seen the opacity, the guy who banked through this system. We see all that. People can't stand the 3 tiers of justice, the 10-tier justice system. They're done with that. They are done. They are fed up. The older generations, the younger generations, this will not last any longer. We will not continue down this path. Period. End of story. So here's a quick version of what's happening behind the scenes. Right now, there's a real monetary war playing out between 3 power centers, Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan, who represent the old banking system. And, I'm actually going to share, I'll share the part of the article so you can see it. So if you guys haven't seen this, again, we'll try to summarize it quick in a minute or two. That way you don't have to read the 5 or 10-minute article. It's an incredible article if you want to go read it. But there's a lot of people doing lives, doing things. Again, the whole point of this is to get in quick, actually understand what's going on, and get out. That's the whole point of this. So if you want to go read it, check that out. Marilyn Hoddle wrote it up. It's phenomenal. We'll link to it. So JP Morgan Jamie Dimon represents the old banking system, Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy, which had become the bridge into Bitcoin future, and Donald Trump's administration, which is quietly trying to shift monetary power away from the Federal Reserve and back toward the Treasury. JP Morgan is attacking strategy because Master, the ticker symbol, MSTR, is a conversion engine that lets institutions move from fiat into Bitcoin. Break that bridge and you slow the transition. Defend that bridge, and Bitcoin becomes a core part of America's future monetary architecture. Remember, Bitcoin is the hardest and strongest computer network on the face of the planet. People forget all of these things. Bitcoin isn't boiling the oceans, it's cleaning the oceans. It is literally cleaning up swamps, ponds, garbage being wasted and dumped in there from restaurants. Stories that I know and have actually seen myself. Cleaning up those things, putting it into Bitcoin miners, generators, and then using that energy to mine Bitcoin and clean the environment up. These are all things that the average person has no idea, because for so long, for 15 years, these things have been fudded by, who do you think? Mr. Dimon himself, other governments around the world, because they don't want price to go up. They don't want to lose power. We're going to get into that here in a minute, and the importance of all this and how this affects directly your life. So Trump now faces two brutal choices, as Marilyn Howell lays out in this article: stay silent and keep Bitcoin cheap for accumulation, or go public, flip the system, and trigger a massive breakout before the rails are built. All this is happening on top of a fragile financial foundation. Decades of leverage, artificial liquidity, the rates moving all over the place, political dysfunction. The dollar is not tethered to anything in reality. That's why the threat level is so high. This isn't a financial story. It's a fight over who controls the future of money. And your life sits right in the middle of it. So let's zoom out. So again, this article is a phenomenal article. You could check this out, and bear with me a little bit. Haven't got a lot of sleep lately, so there's a lot of stuff going on. So my voice isn't what it is today. So, and we're moving a little more sluggish than general. So again, go check this article out. It's phenomenal. There's other people that have done full breakdowns of what's going on here. So you might want to go check those out if you want to go into detail. They are very good. So I do suggest checking them out, actually, because it is important to see what's actually happening. Very, very important, actually. So let's zoom out and talk about why this matters to you, not the banks, not the politicians, not the CEOs, you. The reason this war is happening is simple. And we get so caught up in all the chaos at times, and we forget what's really happening. And sometimes we get stagnant, and we don't stand up. We don't speak out. We don't vote with our wallet. We don't vote with our feet, our voice. And we stand idly by, and that's nature abhors a vacuum. And when good people stand idly by and do nothing, there's problems in life. So here's the punchline. Bitcoin flips the incentives of the entire financial system upside down. In the current system, the incentives are built around control. Banks need you dependent. They need you borrowing. They need you trapped in rising prices, falling savings, and constant debt cycles, because that's where their power comes from. And remember, JP Morgan is really the central node of the system. And again, Marilyn Howell talks about it in this article. They are the central node in this entire system. And why this is so incredibly important to understand. They are that node in the legacy fiat debt-based monetary Titanic that everything is linked to. This whole world, if you've watched all the wars going on in the Middle East, in Ukraine, if you are paying attention to the Simon Dixons of the world, or you're seeing how the military industrial complex, the financial complex, and this new regime that the Trump administration with stable coins and Bitcoin, what's actually going on here, there's a massive fight, and then you put on top of that BRICS, Russia, China, what's happening. There is a massive power struggle going on, and it's because of Bitcoin. At the end of the day, the discovery of Bitcoin in 2009 has laid bare everything for all to see, and is exposing the system one block at a time. Every 10 minutes, it keeps exposing everything. So every dollar you earn loses less and less of its value, or loses more and more of its value. Every time the Fed prints, your time gets stolen, and you're forced to play a game where the rules always favor the people at the top. Bitcoin breaks that entire structure. And this is why they can't stand it so much. Right here, Bitcoin says your money can't be printed. Your savings can't be diluted. Your transactions can't be censored. Your wealth can't be inflated away. Your wealth can't be controlled by a handful of unelected bankers. For the first time in modern history, you can own money that exists outside of their system. Think about that. For the first time in modern history, you can own money that exists outside of their system. Stablecoins aren't that. Stablecoins are still inside that system. Now, stablecoins are going to play a role in this system. This is what part of this whole story is about. And again, reading this article is very important. But Bitcoin is the only system that cannot be controlled. It cannot be, you cannot print more. Stablecoins are just a digital dollar-backed system, the digital fiat system that can be corrupted or controlled with centralized nodes. This is opposite of what Bitcoin is, but Bitcoin is looking like it's going to be the backbone, the collateral of the system as of now. And as time and education increase and more people like us are out there spreading the word, then the real peaceful financial revolution happens. And people start losing those stable coins and those fiat currencies, and we start going to a more decentralized system through the Bitcoin network. So this is why Bitcoin scares them so incredibly much. Because when you have one node, Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan Chase controlling everything, they love that. That's why banks are afraid. That's why JP Morgan's attacking strategy. It's why Jack Mallers is being debanked, which I think is multiple times he's been debanked now, aside. That's why politicians are whispering instead of yelling. They can't control you now. Once you realize you hold your own money, and once they realize they don't need the invisible hand of the banking system, once everyone sees how Bitcoin aligns incentives around honesty, fairness, personal sovereignty, the old system loses its grip forever. Once you are free from that system, you're off the sinking Titanic, you can start to make different choices with your life. You can start to act a different way. You're not beholden to a paycheck. You're not on the hamster wheel. You don't need to inject things into your body because you are beholden to a paycheck next Friday. Think about that. I mean, that alone is what Bitcoin gives people the ability to do. You can't do anything about the money, the time and energy that I am saving. Zero. Bitcoin gives you that ability to save without permission, to spend without surveillance, to build without gatekeepers. It gives you the freedom to live the way you wish, not inside a system designed to extract from you, but inside a system designed to protect you. The transition is messy. It's loud. It's chaotic. It's happening. Cash App. We just talked about Cash App. Jack Dorsey unveiling the 4 million payment terminals, Bitcoin, 4 million businesses around the world. News every day. Meanwhile, one of our sponsors, Bitcoin denominated life insurance, all in Bitcoin. All in Bitcoin. It fixes life insurance, for crying out loud. Short term, again, we live in a Bitcoin world, in a fiat world, and it's wonderful that we have this world where you could, again, this is a financial advice, but you could get short-term life insurance. It's very cheap. And then you actually can do whole life infinite banking on a Bitcoin standard. It actually works because it's different. It's built on something that's going to go up in value and cannot be stolen from you, cannot be inflated away over time. Why would I do whole life infinite banking when I'm getting 4 or 5% a year in my whole life policy, but the dollar is getting inflated away at 8 to 10% a year? I'm losing. Why would I do that long-term? Terrible plan. But now we can do things like that. So again, if you want to check that out, again, the link's in the description for the meanwhile Bitcoin denominated life insurance. The things that are coming out, the Bitcoin products, the Bitcoin companies, services that are out here now already and that are coming, that are down the line, that we see being built, are mind-blowing. It's an unbelievable we live at this time. And if you understand the incentives, you understand why Bitcoin isn't just an asset. It's not. It's a protocol. It's an exit door from the system that was never built for any of us in the first place. It was built for a few people at the top. And this is where everything comes full circle. Understanding the war is one thing. Understanding the incentives are another. Because again, remember, I'm going to share the national debt here, as we've showed many times before. What are some of the most important things to understand? This is where the system's going, guys. This is a system. Where do we think that's going? You're telling me, people are worried about Bitcoin going to zero. Bitcoin's crashing. You got $2,000 stimmy checks, Trump floating out there, 15-year. I mean, these things are going to happen. What, 5 years ago, we were talking about unrealized capital gains, the system breaking. We were talking about 100-year bonds, 100-year loans. We have Trump now talking about 50-year mortgages, 15-year auto loans. We got QE, different types of QE coming. So them printing currency, the rates coming down at some point here. And people are worried, and the debt's going to 40 trillion the next year. People are worried about Bitcoin. Come on, let's wake up. Let's smell the coffee here. Understanding the war is one thing. Understanding incentives is another. But none of it matters if you aren't acting on it, because Bitcoin only protects you if you actually take ownership of it. If you choose a political currency, you are subject to all the political BS inside this system. Bitcoiners sleep very well at night because we're not subjected to all of this political demagoguery back and forth and the grandstanding. We are outside of that. Now, do we want to bring other people onto the lifeboat with us, our family, friends, the people around us, our neighborhood, our cities, the people, so we don't see massive homelessness everywhere. We don't see civil unrest everywhere. People hurting each other. Yeah, of course we do. We're human. That's why Bitcoiners do what they do. That's why we make content. That's why we're called to do this stuff, to be here, to talk to each other, to chat, to be on lives, to put out Bitcoin podcasts, to write books, to write articles, to be on Twitter, to be on spaces, to go to conferences, to be on stage, whatever it is, go to meetups, the local meetups, to go talk to each other, to go hang out. This is why we do these things. Because this is the end game. We know right here, this national debt is our future. That's our children's future. That's the Bitcoin price. And it's going exponential. It's going exponential. That is the future. That's where the Bitcoin price is headed. So Bitcoin only protects us if we actually take ownership of it. Not an exchange, not on a brokerage app, not inside the banking system that's fighting for its life. Again, this is psychological at the end of the day. Remember, the dollar could be gone overnight. People think that it's impossible. These things, every fiat government currency has collapsed and went to zero over the course of human history, every single one of them. And we just think the dollar's immune to that because we have 11 aircraft carriers or 12 aircraft carriers. Well, guess what? Newsflash. China's got 1,000 drones that could fly over, and guess what? There goes aircraft carriers. This system is completely breaking and reversing from every single angle, and it's hard. I just had a friend come to me. We had a deep talk on Friday, and they had said, "Hey, I just appreciate everything you do, and it's hard to discern what's right, what's true, and what's not now." And that's what we try to do. That's what we've tried to do for years. Think through first principles, and can you guys hear me? Actually, oh. Okay, all right, good. For some reason, it's not on my. I don't think it's on my microphone. So let me see if I can change it here. That's brutal. I don't know why it jumped not on. Make sure. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Hopefully, it sounds a little bit better now. My voice is not great today anyway, but this is the microphone jumped to the laptop for some reason. So that's brutal. All right, good. Hear me. Hopefully, it got a little bit better. I don't know if it did or not. So we shall see. But that is very annoying. So again, yeah, Jack. It's funny. I know Jack does 6 p.m. on Mondays, and it does sound different. Okay, good. Ugh, of course. Yeah, I'm trying to get him the Stampede. We're getting I probably have to do the OBS to. I probably have to do OBS to restream. So I gotta get the camera figured out. So we'll get the camera figured out here with restream and everything, and OBS, and we got to stream whatever. So as Jack would say, I'm not a professional podcaster, even though I guess technically I am. So, but hey, Jack's got a whole team helping him though. So what are we gonna do? And so we only have a couple people, but my team doesn't help me with the live. They help me with some pre stuff, but they don't help me with the producing the live. This is all me right now. This is just me coming at you with 25 years of thinking and experience, and then trying to put a bunch of technology together all at the same time. So where were we though? We were talking again. This is so incredibly important to understand. Oh, and again, we were talking about it doesn't matter. It does not matter unless you're putting. This is why we have sponsors. This is why we talked about Meanwhile. Talked about a foundation, the Passport Core all the time. Talked about the titanium seed plates. Guys, I lost the 12 word and 24 word. Go check this out. The links to everything are below to help sponsor or to help support the show. Check them out. Give me your thoughts back on this. But I literally lost from 2015 to 2017 or 2016 to 2018. I can't remember. I had to think for a second. My brain doesn't work. But I was scared of using wallets. So if there's anyone here doesn't have their stuff, don't say in the chat. You don't need to say it. But they don't have their Bitcoin off an exchange and into a cold storage wallet. It literally takes a few minutes. And the investment will save your life. And that's the whole point of all this, the entire thing. If you do that and you have the key, you use the Passport Core or your hardware wallet of choice, whatever it is, and you put it into a seed plate, that wallet generates a seed, goes into the seed plate. That is how you have your generational wealth forever. And then no one can F with you, period. Then Jamie Dimon, whatever the garbage he's doing, who cares? This is how the system is defunded, because as you take your monetary energy, your time and energy out of that system, it starts to collapse faster and faster in on itself. And it already is. It's already doing a great job of collapsing in and on itself, but it only speeds up. So thanks, Oliver. It's only getting better all the time. Hopefully that means the show. So, oh man. But I appreciate you guys with the feedback and everything. So I will, we'll be working on the video though. So again, we have to take the final step toward sovereignty. And that's why, like I said, the sponsors we work with are not ads. These are actual tools that make sovereignty real. There's the actual people that I use, the teams I use. And Soap Miner, love Soap Miner. Got to pay in sats with most of these. Some of them take fiat, obviously. But Meanwhile, Bitcoin denominated life insurance, Soap Miner, Stampseed, all these incredible Bitcoin companies, Bitcoin only companies, Crowd Health, another one, a big thing. I might need some Crowd Health here. Holy cow. Some more use my Crowd Health because of this way I'm feeling. But these are the tools that people to build with, because I think the circular economy is so incredibly important, because we need to start building up each other. For years, Bitcoiners, as I get on my high horse here for a second, we kind of all sat around and looked at each other like, okay, like let's all just like write articles and like get on Twitter and like yell at each other. But there are people building in the background. But now we as a community need to start really, really taking the circular economy to another level and start overwhelming the system with content, but also more importantly, replace and then spend. So get some Bitcoin and then buy stuff with it. Create that circular economy using Square, Cash App. Again, we just talked about this earlier with the video we did the other day, and everyone has seen those announcements. Hopefully, with the payment processors around the world, 4 million people being able to use Bitcoin. So there's so many amazing things now that we have as Bitcoiners, the different tools available, Bitcoin denominated tools, just you name it, that we've never had that ability to do this before. So this is, I feel very grateful to have the sponsors. Again, this is how I learned 8 years ago, 9 years ago, 10 years ago. And that's why I was saying I was scared of a wallet. It takes a few minutes. And I was scared, and I didn't get in for a year or two. And I missed the 2017 bull run because I didn't get in 2015, 2016, because I was waiting around for a wallet and trying to, I'm kind of nervous about it. So don't be me from 10 years ago. Do not do that. Get your coins off exchanges, become ungovernable. By the way, we did an interview like a month or two ago with Katie, the Russian. And we have it on our Clips channel right now, by the way. And the greatest thing, it's like, I forget what it's called, like the sovereign citizen or something like that. There's like a little Wikipedia alert on the bottom of the YouTube videos, the clips, each of those, because they are basically saying, hey, this movement, like, just so you know, this movement that they're talking about is scammers, like tax fraud people, like all these different things, like wild, absolutely wild. So the sovereign citizen movement, well, to tell Katie and then all of us, again, this is, if you don't like war, you might not like war, but war likes you. And that's the thing that I think, again, speaking from experience, talking to a lot of Bitcoiners over the years, I think a lot of us have been very complacent and just thinking, hey, we're going to win. Donald Trump won. Yay. We're going to get, hands are clean now. Let's do this and go away. And then we realize real quick, yeah, just because a president says something or administration here does something about Bitcoin, it doesn't matter. Look at El Salvador. Just because the government comes in and says, "Oh, it's legal tender," like all of a sudden, like people are just going to do things. Now, do politicians hold a lot of weight in society still today? Yeah, they do, really across the world generally. But at the same time, we can see they don't move the needle that much. It's got to be bottom up. So people can tell me all they want about sovereigns getting in. I think this is one of the big mistakes of our time. Truly, is that the sovereigns, the nation states, like everyone's waiting around for these big announcements, like that's going to increase adoption. When in reality, the average person can't stand any of these people. Like just because a leader said something, yeah, you're going to get a small sect of people that say, "Oh wow, like this is great." But that's like what 5% of people, 1%, 5%, 10%, and they go by it just because or whatever, or they do it because the government said. Most people can't stand the politicians. And then on top of that, you're again, we have these problems that we're seeing right now. We talked about today with JP Morgan and strategy and centralization of the Bitcoin, not the network. The network is fine. That's why you need to run a node, and you have just as much say as Michael Saylor does. But we have this world where you just because politicians are saying, "Hey, let's get in, let's jump in, let's do it. We should do this. We should make it legal tender." That doesn't just or a sovereign or whoever it is, that doesn't just make it so. And all of a sudden people are going to get it and they're, "Oh yeah, I'm a Bitcoiner now. Like I totally get how it works." We see very real examples now over the last 5 years that it really is going to be pleb bottom up adoption. I went from thinking it was going to be pleb bottom up, and then I for a couple years ago I thought, you know what, maybe it will be convert the king, and then we saw what happened in El Salvador. We've seen what happened with Trump, and really this past year has kind of confirmed to me that yeah, this is going to be something. Oh, because this is the other thing. If sovereigns get in and nation states get in, which they're going to, I think we're in a very real crisis going forward. That if Bitcoin goes to 200,000, then it goes to 400, and then 600, 800, and then a million, and then 2 million, which it will do. If people aren't ready for that and they're not educated, and there's not education out here, and there's not people like us doing these things, well, then guess what? We're going to have a hard time because people are going to look at us because guess who's going to be blaming us for other people's problems? You better believe you think it's bad now, Bitcoiners. You think things are bad now. We haven't seen anything yet. We thought energy FUD was bad or whatever for 15 years. Just wait until Bitcoin's at 500,000, just a million or 2 million. They're going to be pointing a lot of fingers and saying, you better go look for those people. You better go look for those Bitcoiners. We've already seen this at a small level. We've already seen the psychopath thing. We've already, whatever. That is a world we are entering. That is a very, very real world that I just don't know that a lot of us are ready for it, quite honestly. I'm not saying I'm ready for it either. So it's, yeah. So we're in one. And this is why bottom up adoption is so important, and education, because Nayib Bukele, Donald Trump, Putin, G, whoever it is, by them just doing something by decree doesn't make it so. Doesn't make people just understand it automatically. I mean, look, just an unbelievable another piece of evidence of it is looking at the MAGA movement itself. Why in the world wouldn't again, and someone might say, well, he didn't talk about Bitcoin that much and Trump didn't, but he did a fair amount of Bitcoin things over the last year. But wouldn't you think that of the 60 million or 80 million people, however many voted for Trump, don't you think like 5 million of those people or a couple million at least would have been like, huh, what's this Bitcoin thing? Like my guy, my president loves this, so I should look into it and buy it. Again, maybe it happened at a small level, but the whole point being these tools, like you guys are saying in here, the hot wall is great for the daily spending, but this kind of education is what we need the most. Get your hardware wallet, get off the grid, get your keys and get them off the exchanges, get them off the legacy platforms. And so that way you are sovereign, then put them in titanium so they last forever. And you have a plan. This is where the meanwhile thing comes into the Bitcoin denominated life insurance, because we have to live in two worlds. That's why I'm grateful to partner up with them, because you have this world where you can still live in that world in the legacy world to a degree, but it's all Bitcoin denominated. Use the advantages of that while also having this as your plan too. Because not everyone is going to know how to work all this. Even though maybe all of us think, we should be able to, and it is easy. It only takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes to set up. Not everyone's going to be able to do this. So how do you live in multiple worlds at one time? There's going to be some solutions. I don't love ETFs. I don't like the having Bitcoin with anybody else. But at the same time, I mean, whether it's, Fedi mints or the things that are coming in the future and the different layers, there's going to be some type of trust trade-offs that we have at all different layers of the system. So that's something that each one of us has to decide. Is it the lightnings and the Fedis and the liquids and the different layers? Is it meanwhile Bitcoin denominated life insurance? Like what kind of different trade-offs are we looking for? So, yeah, no, I agree. new creature. That's why we partner with them. I mean, honestly, like I've used a handful of Bitcoin wallets, and this is definitely the weight, the feel of it, everything. It's amazing, and that's why they were my first choice. I used another one for years, and still have them, but this has been my go-to now, because I was just like, I went and talked to a couple of tech people and just different stuff, and then they were the ones recommending Passport over the last year or two. So then I was like, okay, and I went and started doing my homework, and then went and talked to them. So I feel grateful that I linked up with them just because of that. But anyway, so important. And this is a revolution. At the end of the day, this is the peaceful revolution, the hardware wallet, and putting your seed that it generates in here. And so again, that's why that education is so incredibly important. These aren't luxuries at the end of the day. These aren't optional things to do. These are the seat belts of the new system. So, again, if bring this all together, if we can understand the Trump versus JP Morgan battle, we understand why Bitcoin is the exit. Right? But if you leave your coins on the exchange, you're still inside that old system. You're on the Titanic still. You're vulnerable. You're still trusting the institutions. Again, look at what's his name, Armstrong from Coinbase. He said a couple years ago, if the institutions come and ask me, or the government comes and asks me to give up the Bitcoin, I'm giving up the Bitcoin. Legally they have to. That's, again, you're playing by those rules. And again, this is that world where Bitcoiners, we have a hard time because it's like, well, you should just do whatever you want. And yes, that is true to an extent, but there's got to be more Bitcoiners. There's got to be more of us. And we need some more wealth. And then that cohort of people becomes bigger and bigger. And then again, you start defunding the legacy system because our cohort has grown and grown and grown to a point where we are starting to make real big inroads on the legacy system. And that starts taking over that old system and consuming it, which we know Bitcoin is that black hole, and it will. So that's why I love these people that we partner with. At the end of the day, they're just so incredibly important to the system. So the hardware wallet puts you in control. The seed plate survives all the chaos, the fire, the flood, and that's the cool part. Again, for anyone in here who's new too, like if you have your hardware wallet, but you throw this in the ocean, boating accident, whatever, it doesn't matter. If you have your seed plate, you have the seed word, you got it memorized in your head. That's the thing that orange pilled me a ton 10 years ago, was listening to Max Kaiser talk about holding your wealth in your head. There's no other asset you can do that with except Bitcoin or your seed phrase on a titanium seed plate. You can go anywhere with that. And that can't be taken from you, especially if it's in your head. So this is how we stop being spectators and start being sovereign. Bitcoin is the peaceful revolution, but only if we hold it, secure it, and protect it. That's it. So take the next step. Educate others, run a node, educate others, get the tools, educate others, because the real war is being played right now, but so is the path out of that system. The path, the exit is there if we want it. Appreciate you guys. I know we're battling against Jack right now. So, Johnny, what's up, brother? Good to see you, man. Yeah, it's been a little bit. I saw the comment the other day. Clean your machine, all you guys. Appreciate you being here. I know we're up against it with Jack right now. It's always my intent on Mondays to do this like an hour or two before, but I had, some of my buddies, the guys I know, Luke, Mikic and Brandon Keys, like they were just doing lives a little bit ago. So I try not to, I know like Roxham is trying to do like 24 hours of Bitcoin content. And so I try not to butt up against anybody's. I don't want to try to go up against other spaces. Of course, we keep going up against Jack, but just the days, it starts to get hard toward the end of the day, though. Once, the earlier in the day, obviously, the easier it gets to kind of stay on schedule. And then things just get going during the day. And then I saw Brandon and Luke doing stuff kind of back to back like an hour ago. And I was like, okay, I was about to go live then. So trying to do in between them and Jack, and it's just kind of a little crazy. So give me liquidity or give me death, Uncle Satoshi. He said, yeah, this is the world we're in. This is why I'm sharing the debt chart right here. This is, again, I'm not an expert in mining, or I'm not an expert in any one of these things. Like I'm a generalist. I know a little bit about a lot of things, and that's how I've been my entire life. And so that's why, like, I try to, whether it's through the podcast or the live streams, the stuff we're writing, the blog, but then some of the books, it's all to be consumed by the average pleb. And really like pre-coiners and no coiners, to be totally honest, it's fourth grade reading level. It's, again, because if you want something really advanced, then, go talk to Parker Lewis, go watch a Preston Pish podcast, or maybe you want like super high level macro stuff and you watch Jack's, whatever. And that used to be me. Like I used to be macro guy like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But then you start realizing like, oh, this all just correlates to one. Like all this just trends to one. Like it's, again, I get it. We have to live in two worlds. That's why we talked about, meanwhile, insurance, Bitcoin denominated life insurance, and all of our sponsors in the description. A lot of those are like living in two worlds. You have to live in two worlds. As Bitcoiners, we can't just, hey, I'm just completely living in a Bitcoin world and like screw all of you. I mean, I guess you could. My conscience won't let me do that. So I have to fight in this world and plant my feet and go to battle. So appreciate you guys just sticking with me today, because I am just, I'm feeling it. So liquidity is coming. It's absolutely coming, because we have 40 trillion in debt in the next year or two, and it needs to be refinanced. I mean, this is very simple stuff. Like we don't need to get super technical. The macro is everything, but the macro, and all of it trends to one. All of it trends to liquidity. And the best liquidity play in the world is Bitcoin, right? I mean, it's the only finite asset in the world besides your time. No one has ever been able to tell me another asset that's completely finite, or I'm just going to use asset as a term. It is a protocol outside the system. It's not just another asset, but no one's ever been able to show me something that is completely finite compared to or equal to my finite time and energy. No one. I've been saying this for like 5 years, and no one's ever been, oh, well, this thing is, I don't know of it. No one knows of it. And that's why Bitcoin is the container. It's the perfect container for your time and energy. So yeah, yes, Oliver, we're definitely living in an info war. Slow and steady truly wins the race. This is an absolute information war. So yeah, stablecoins are CBDCs with a name. I think it's a brilliant play. Like I will say, the Trump plan is a brilliant plan to extend dollar dominance and kind of thread the needle in a way. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I think it's, again, imagine being these people in these positions, right? It's easy for us to sit here and say, just go to a Bitcoin standard, just do whatever. There's a ton of collateral damage that comes with that, obviously, right? Like you're the guy that has to press the button. You have to press the nuclear button. That's not easy. That's not easy for any one human to be able to work out, figure out, get past whatever their conscience, whatever you want to call it. These are not easy things. Like we know the right things to do theoretically, or, hey, we let the system clean itself out. Don't bail anything out. Don't do 50-year mortgages, and don't do 15-year auto loans. Don't just squeeze it. Just collapse the system and rebuild it new. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the right thing to do technically by the book. However, maybe you have 5 million people die, or 10 or 50 million. Actually, I don't know. I mean, if things just collapse, everything implodes. So that's the system we're in. That's this weird world that we're operating in right now. So oh man, yeah, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the love. Tore up, what's up? What's good? Living. Yes, we are. I got to work on that card too. I have your message unread, by the way, about my the Bitcoin trading card. So we'll do the autograph thing. Get that to you. Appreciate your patience with me. It's been crazy. Obviously, it's this week with Thanksgiving. Hopefully, you guys all have Thanksgiving. Those of you here in America. We'll try to do another live on Wednesday. I'm trying to think. We have a Peter Dunworth episode coming out this week. Not sure which day that's going to be. That could be, well, we could be dropping that Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. I don't know, but we shall see. When do you guys want that dropped? And then I'll try to get another live or two in this week. That's gonna be tough though. It's gonna be a little chaotic. So add 50 years prior to the chart to see really look. Yeah, you're right, Torup. I mean, that hockey stick really is, when you zoom out another 50 years, like you said, I got to find a different one to show how incredibly exponential the debt is. And that is literally the Bitcoin price. And it will keep going up because, like we said, it's the perfect container. It's the only container that's truly finite compared to your time. So the only way the national debt goes down if the government, I got to be sharing these. Sorry, guys, not a professional podcaster. I was going to keep copying Jack since we're on the same time with him. If the government closes its doors, everyone goes home and no more entitlements are paid out from this moment forward. Yeah, exactly. And at some point, when do things like that happen, Oliver, right? Or anybody? Like, these things are going to happen at some point. They have to happen. You can't just keep having the system where you're just doing whatever all the time. Whenever and just the can's kicked forever. It's impossible. So, and you can't have the deflationary crash in an inflationary system, right? This is what confuses a lot of people, and I'm sure you guys have talked to a lot of people like this too, right? Where they are like, "Well, what do you mean you can't have this deflationary?" Like again, Bitcoiners living in two worlds. You can't have this deflationary crash inside of this world or an inflationary. Well, you can have a deflationary crash. It's just not good. The system implodes on itself because we are in an inflationary system. So you can't. That's why Ben Bernanke wrote the paper in 2002. Deflation, why it can't happen here. That's why the IMF paper from 2012, the financial repression article, is the game. That is the name of the game. It's constant bailouts, constant liquidity injections. And it's only going to speed up now because the debt now keep having to get rolled over and refinanced. So that's going to keep just ballooning and going vertical. It's going to, I mean, what time period do you guys think it will start going vertical? I think that's the real question. When do we think it'll start going vertical? The debt, like literally vertical. And I guess it depends on the X and Y axis and how zoomed out you are, but it's going to be going vertical. It's scary, real scary actually. But Bitcoin's a life raft. Glad the sound was better. Yeah, really screwed the pooch on that one. The money you put into Bitcoin cannot be hypothecated. I'm guessing you're talking about Meanwhile. Yeah, the Meanwhile insurance is fascinating. I have a full deep dive. I think I posted it I posted it last week with Jason Leibowitz. Awesome what they're doing and how they're doing it with the miners and the whales and using old coins that need to tap into their low cost basis. Everything. It's pretty wild how they're doing it. So and he even said to Zach Townsend, the CEO, or everything, he was like, "How do you guys not have 100,000 people yet?" And he was like, "Well, when we were kind of new, and maybe you can help us do it." So yeah, it's just the Bitcoin products and services that are coming out, guys, are just wild, absolutely phenomenal. So the wallets, yeah, again, hot wallets. You don't want the mobile wallets. You obviously don't keep too much in there. Cold wallets really, obviously, where you want your long term savings, and yeah, the hot wallets are just kind of daily spending wallets. Yeah, Oliver with some good, pair like yeah, if you have your foundation, Passport Core, hook it up to Sparrow. Like provide some redundancy. Like you don't have to use. They have an Envoy is a great little side companion to it, but you can use this with Sparrow, yeah, and have some redundancy there. So it's really important to be able to um, just create that diversification, so you know what you're looking at, and hook up to your node. And that's the other thing. Hook up to your node. So you're using your node. You're not trusting someone else's node. That's very important as well. So, get your Passport Core, hook up to Sparrow Wallet. And again, be your own bank at the end of the day. This is the way we stay sovereign and the revolution. So you turn this on, you hook up to Sparrow, and then you hook the Sparrow up to your node, and you are completely sovereign. Like you are literally have your money. No one can take it from you. No one can do anything. You know exactly what's going on. You're reading and running the blockchain, time chain. Absolutely phenomenal. Never in human history have we had anything like this. It's truly remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. Like it's feel so blessed that we live during this time. It really is amazing. Man, I am leaking. I'm going to go here in a minute. So yeah, this is really good. Thanks for sharing a bunch of this information, guys, on stuff. The cold card. See, I've never been into the cold card. It's just I haven't. Again, it scares me a little bit too much. It's not. And some of the people I've talked to said, yeah, like it's it's a little more technical, it's a little more advanced. To each of their own. That's again, that's why it's like something that's open source. That's the big thing. There's the handful out there that are Bitcoin only, open source. Get those. Like this is the one that we partner with right now because I've just been loving them. But there are a handful, open source, Bitcoin only. They put their time and energy into that circular Bitcoin economy, pushing the mission forward. It's so huge, so important to do that. So yeah, it is super easy. And yeah, so Passport is made in the USA. I think it's only one made in the USA. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, it is a big factor. Yeah, it is huge. Yeah, Clean Machine. It is simple. hit me up, message me if you need help. I mean, there's obviously tons of great stuff online. Ben BTC Sessions has tons of different stuff with every different wallet out there and whatever. But again, that's why the biggest thing is the people I want to be partnered with, again, have to be open source, privacy centric at least, and the Bitcoin ethos, only working on Bitcoin. Those are some of those staples that you have to have. You have to in order for us to for me to use it myself or talk to anyone about it. And that's why I do, to support the show and to the couple of people that work with me, but also to put out to be what I can do to help aid and abet the Bitcoin circular economy. And as we get people all the time over the years that just ask, hey, what should I get? Or, whatever it is. So I love being able to help other Bitcoin businesses do well. Because if they're doing well, that just means more for all of us. That's the beauty of Bitcoin at the end of the day. The beauty of Bitcoin is it's a positive sum game, where fiat is zero sum game. So the Bitcoin game is we all win. If we're all growing together and we're all educating and Bitcoin's growing and the goods and services are growing, then we all win and we all benefit from that network effect. Unlike fiat, where it just keeps getting diluted and goes the other direction. So, yeah, thanks for all the input, guys, from everybody. Yeah, awesome group here that comes on all the time, watches the pods. So like I said, Peter Dunworth coming up here this week. I think we have Joe Consorti as well, maybe this weekend coming out, or maybe early next week. But probably this weekend, probably Peter Dunworth and Joe Consorti this week. And should be recording hopefully soon with Joe Carlosari, trying to get American Hodl to come on with him. He's hard to track down, as is everybody. And Seb Bunny. So we got a lot of fun stuff. I think you're going to enjoy it. We have talking to a few people for early next year too. That'll be fun. Samson again, Luke Roman, a couple people I'm forgetting too that are going to be around the turn of the year. Tony Yazbak, Bitcoin Way. So Bitcoin is a nerd's smorgasbord. Yeah, it truly is. Bitcoin, it really is. There's something for everybody. That's for sure. Yeah, creature. Well, yeah, thanks. No, thanks for using the link. If you didn't have one already, no worries. I'm glad you have one. The most important part is you have a cold storage wallet. Everyone needs a cold storage wallet. You have to. So I'm glad you already have one. After this year, I'm shocked how much I've learned about how much more I need to learn. Yeah, I mean and that's how it always goes too, right? The more we learn, the more we understand we don't learn or we don't know. So yeah, I think we all understand about 5% of Bitcoin. Truly, it always stays and hovers around 5 or 10% of Bitcoin. What we know. Yep, somewhere in the 30s, especially if we have another emergency. I'm not sure what you're talking about there, Oliver. The 30%. Yeah. No, Ben is great. He's great for all the stuff. Great stuff, guys. I'd love to go longer. Go watch Jax. I'm not 100%, so I need to go rest. Peter's definitely one of the most bullish Bitcoiners, and I talked to him about that. Like, was $1 billion Bitcoin a lie? All the things that he talks about. I mean, he's a brilliant guy. So we kind of get into some of that stuff, and he talks about it and breaks a bunch of it down. So it's gonna be a good episode. Be a really good episode. It's we talk about price a bit. Obviously, I can't stand talking about price, but I also simultaneously know that price is what gets most people into Bitcoin. Probably got most of us into Bitcoin initially. It gets everyone else. Like, look, you see what happens when price goes down. People are at each other's throats. You have views, content, everything down across the board. People don't watch as much. They don't look at it as much. So it's a very real thing. So we talk about a lot of good stuff in the episode, though. You guys will enjoy it. Look forward to seeing you guys this week. Hopefully, do a live stream, another one this week. I know it's gonna be tough Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving. Check out videos right around here. The recent interview we just did, a couple of lives about Jack Dorsey, what BlackRock's doing. And then some of our podcasts with Jason Leibowitz, like we were just talking about as well. We also have an awesome with Kent Halliburton we just did with Saz Mining. Incredible stuff what they're doing there. So go check those out. And we'll see you on the next live stream and in the Peter